Start. So, can we have your name, kind sir? 'Cause
Yeah.
I know who you are, but no one else does.
Yeah, Colin Lowe.
And your age, Colin?
I'm 62. I'll be 63 on March the 2nd.
63.
Yeah.
I think it's great that someone our age is still surfing at
Oh,
that. No,
mate.
There's no reason why we can't carry on to 70.
Hey, mate. I've got a good dude here. Hey, talk about inspiration. Where is that man? Oh, mate. This guy, I may have loaned it to someone. Oh, this guy's 80.
And they're
He's
still surfing.
80, mate. He's got a body like a 17-year-old. I kid you not.
Yeah.
And when you see him standing on a surfboard, his body language is just like so young. And he was a US champ for about like 10 years, 15 years in a row, back in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
He'd be 83 now, 84, and
That's
he
brilliant.
still surfs, mate.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I don't think there's
And
many
he-
sports that you could be like that.
Hey, but the beauty of it is he's got so much respect in the community because all the people who are mayors or up and coming, you know,
Yeah.
politicians, he's rubbed shoulders with them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he can get beaches sorted out to be kept open for surfing, and he rubs shoulders with all these dudes,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, and so he's a really good image
We'll
maker
have
for
to check him
surfing.
down. Your first surfboard, what sort was it? Do you know?
I had a 14-foot
14
a
foot.
14-foot pintail
Yeah.
that it was pinned at each end, and it was made up of about 18 compartments. It was made of plywood,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
it took two of us to carry it down to Ruakaka Beach, mate.
Uh,
And we'd go surfing.
Yeah.
My friend rang me up one day. He said there were days we just shouldn't have gone out. It was that big, and you can imagine on this blooming toothpick, mate. It was
Yeah.
suicidal, but it was a lot of fun.
You haven't got it stacked away. In you'd
yeah,
have it on your wall, wouldn't you?
Oh, I wish I had.
What started you off surfing, Colin?
I think I saw a surf movie.
Yeah.
One of those early ones, you know, Gidget or I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go surfing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was some early surfing movie I saw way back from.
So how'd you start going surfing? Did you?
My dad, I bought that pin nose, pintail thing,
Yeah.
and my dad would take me down the beach,
Yeah.
and I ended up joining Ruakaka Surf Club,
Yeah. So that's
and
where
that's
you
where I
started.
met Ainsley Knight.
Yeah.
Well, I started surfing on my own,
Yeah.
and in a pair of Ivy League jeans,
Yeah.
and I'd slide off my surfboard. And it took me a long time before I became one with that surfboard. Mostly it was two of us, the board going that way and me going the other way. Oh man, it was fun.
So Ainsley Knight was surfing.
Ainsley Knight, I remember when I joined the surf club, there was Ainsley Knight, Chris Fraserhurst was there,
Yeah.
Tim was there at
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
there was Brick Taylor,
Yeah.
and there was another guy, Beard Marinkovic, what was his name? Guy Marinkovic.
Was it Tom or something like that?
Oh, he was a really nice guy. He had a green truck,
Yeah.
and he'd take all the boys on that truck. And I remember there was a guy called Dave Green from Auckland and another dude, I can't remember his name, they were cheeky young beggars. They taught us how to steal. So the boys would have no money, so they'd go and grab a Herald Honesty box, and
Shake it.
Marinkovic would allow the boys to throw it on the back of the truck in the dark and steal it.
Oh, you take the whole box.
Oh, the boys would take the whole box,
Bit
mate.
of petrol.
Well, I don't know what happened. I never got any of the proceeds, but hey, it was nice hanging with all these hard case dudes, mate.
So were you a member of the Tatahi Surf Club?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a member there, mate.
And did you go to some of their competitions, those early ones?
Yeah, I went to the early competitions and all their socials. I mean, the parties were just
The socials were something,
incredible,
weren't
mate,
they?
eh?
Yeah, yeah.
It was a lot of fun, you know. I remember the surfing contests. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, mate. The Blomfields, and
Yeah.
because there was a whole lot of competitive groups. Like there was Ross Blomfield and there was Dak McDonald and all those.
Lots of different groups. We all
Ross,
knew each other.
yeah, there were all those groups, and they travelled in their car, and there was Ken Berry and me, and there was a few other guys, and there was Tony Kibble in his car.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
his club.
Yeah.
And all these little clubs inside this one club, eh?
Yeah. But
You know,
we
we were
got on
all
pretty good.
oh,
eh?
we all got on good,
Yeah.
but we were always competing against
Yeah.
each other, you
Yeah.
know, which was really good.
Yeah, it was.
Because
Yeah.
there was a lot of camaraderie with that competition.
Yeah.
There was never any hate or animosity. It was all about, I'm going to beat you, and it was all a lot of fun afterwards, having a few laughs, you know.
What's the funniest thing that you've seen out surfing? You've seen something, or wave surfing, something hilarious or something stupid? You must have seen hundreds of those. Anything that stands
Oh,
out?
yeah, hey, mate, this will crack you up. This is about a dear friend of yours. We're sitting at Partau Bar, mate. It's
Yeah.
6 foot.
Yeah.
And when I say 6 foot, it's up there near those fish and further. and it's just pumping. And who goes out the river mouth in about a 12-foot to 14-foot dinghy? 14-foot dinghy would have been at the most, aluminium, low sides, with an outboard. I think it might have been it was a little 10-horse something.
So not a lot of power.
Don Ross.
Yeah.
And the motor breaks down, and the current's going out. Hey man.
But so did he end up sideways, upside
He ended
down?
up sideways. He managed to get back in just.
Yeah.
But you know, he's flailing everywhere. This wave lifting the boat up. Oh, it was a hard case.
Well, I've been out surfing, probably you, when boats, they cut that corner with a takeoff there, and they get caught out quite regularly,
Oh,
don't
and
they?
flipped, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were there one day and one got flipped, and the guy was back the next day when the swell had dropped, and he had a little canoe and he was running around with a little grapnel trying to dredge things off the bottom.
Like this.
Yeah, we're all just laughing, eh?
Yeah.
Everyone's placing bets whether he's going to make it back.
When you first started surfing, do you have a wetsuit, or what did you wear in winter?
Oh, no wetsuits, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I tell the kids about that now. Well, luckily I always had a little bit of flab, you know. So I had a bit of a wetsuit in the sense like a seal with its blubber, you know.
So do you wear a rugby jersey or woolen or something
would
like
have
that?
been a t-shirt or something, mate. Or I remember rugby jerseys with the rage.
Yeah. But winter wouldn't have stopped you surfing.
Oh
You
no, we were
surfed
still
all around.
surfing,
Yeah,
mate. You know,
yeah.
we'd come in purple. I remember being at Woolies Bay one day, and there's me and Dickie and Brian King and Billy Pritchard.
Yep,
Remember
Bill Pritchard,
Sweet
yes.
Billy?
Yes.
Lovely guy, mate,
Yeah.
and his wife.
Yeah.
And yeah, we come in, and Billy hadn't been surfing at that stage. For some reason, he'd stopped, and yeah, we were all purple and blue, you know.
So that would have been because it was Sandy's no good. That's why
The swell was
Woolies
too
Bay.
big.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Woolies was just a little bit more toned down
Yeah.
and surfable, you know.
Yeah, but it can get quite big in that far corner there too, towards Sandy Bay. Woolies, eh? Yeah.
Oh man,
yeah.
you get some lovely waves. Yeah, my wife's parents had a batch there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and sometimes in summer, little A-frames, perfect offshore barreling,
yeah.
and everyone's over at Sandy Bay.
Where the crowds are.
Yeah.
Best surfboard you ever had is your cut. You ever had one and you've sold it and kicked yourself
Oh,
for selling?
hey, I was really influenced by a guy called Michael Peterson,
Yeah,
who was in his time just a genius surfboard designer and a really gifted surfer.
yeah. So was he an Aussie or?
Yeah, Australians from
Yeah.
Queensland. He was just way ahead of all the other surfers.
Yeah,
And his boards were, he was the first guy I came across with low rails,
oh yeah, yeah,
and they were rounded,
yeah,
and there was a nice little hairline edge going all around the bottom,
yeah.
so they went faster,
Yeah,
and he was the first guy that was into nose lift,
yeah,
and then behind his it was single fin period, he'd have a little bit of tail lift, so his 6 foot, I bought a 6'4" surfboard off him, and it just turned on 6 foot because of that tail lift. That was the best surfboard I ever had. I actually thought that board was alive.
yeah, yeah.
I remember bringing it home and putting it in my living room at Solomon's Point on the table in the middle of the room,
Yeah,
and just looking at this board. Because I'd gone from Graham Allen's Super Sessions, and
Yeah.
Graham is a good shaper, incredible, but unless you tell him what to make, he wouldn't know what a good surfboard was back then. He's obviously made thousands now, so he knows, he's got knowledge.
yeah.
So he'd sacked me because I started dropping in on him, and because he always wanted to run the show, and he'd be yelling out, "Colin Lowe, you fucking bastard!" at Waipuko. And I think that was after he sacked me, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, man, I've made you a lot of money. I bought you so many customers, you pricks. After that, I would hunt him down if he was on the beach. I'd drop in on him.
So did you start making surfboards for yourself after that? Or?
Yeah. When he said to me, "I'm not making boards for you anymore," I went to Graham Gantley.
Yeah, the name, I know the name.
Yeah, he was a New Zealand champ. He was
Yeah.
a really gifted natural footer
Yeah,
from Takapuna. And he was shaping boards at Blue Spirit
yeah,
before Wayne Parks bought it. In between, Mike Courter just sold it to a guy called Harry Detner. And Gant was shaping for him. So Gant said, "Hey, Colin will surf for you. He's a really good surfer." So he gave me 2 free surfboards. So Gant made me a 6'9" pintail and a 6'8" rounded square tail. And we had a V in it and single fins, and they just went magic. But he let me get in the shaping room and he shaped them. And he just attacked this blank, and he got the blank plating it. And, you know, there was no finesse, and I suddenly realised that's what it was all about. You know, it was just hopping in there and carving this thing out.
yeah.
And so I learned to shape boards. I made friends with an American guy called Tim Walsh, who lived down at Partow.
Yeah.
And I surfed with him all the time, and he'd made 2 boards, so I got a blank, and we shaped it on my kitchen table. We had a block a sand form,
Yeah.
a surf form, and a block of sandpaper, and a saw. And we made a 6'9" round pintail with a little bit of V in the back end off a Nat Young board, because Nat Young was peaking at that period.
Yeah.
And that board went really good, and I thought, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
So we started making boards after that, you know, like just for ourselves, and then
Yeah.
I
Once
mean,
someone knows you're making a board,
yeah,
oh,
and
can
then-
you make me one and things
well,
like
then
that.
we rented the house of Tenny Solomon
Yeah.
up on top of Solomon's Point, and we turned that into a surfboard factory. We used to rent that for $6 a week.
Yeah.
And while she did my sanding
Yeah.
and some of the glassing, and I was shaping and glassing, and you know, we were doing like anything from 2 to 6 boards a week there for a little while.
That's a good effort, yeah.
Oh, it was good. We were doing really well. I don't know whether you want to hear what I have to say next, but I'll tell you anyway. When I was growing a bit of pot, these friends of mine on Highway 61 introduced me to ice,
Yeah.
which is the purest form of pea. It just looks like a block of ice, mate. You can see through it. And that just screwed my head up. I just went completely off the deep end. And I stopped making boards then. I just lost all my drive and my passion for surfing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find out what had happened to myself, so I did quite a bit of research on it. And pea was having a huge impact in Hawaii and California at that time. And then I
Really
discovered it eats a hole in
around.
your brain. And if you wait long enough, 18 years, your brain grows back and recovers from it.
Yeah.
So it took a long time, but I did recover, and then I found my passion for surfing again. I got back into surfing, you know.
Yeah.
And it was interesting going through that period and what I went through.
I've had a couple of your boards over the years, and one I know I told you was a little twin fin, and I sold it to my sister, and I wished I still had it.
Oh, we made some beautiful twin fins through that period. Yeah, I was peaking in the early 70s, and we went through that whole Mark Richards thing with him.
Well, it wasn't very long. It was under 6 feet.
Oh no, they were all around 5'8",
Yeah.
5'10", 6'1s,
Yeah.
and they were very wide, and they went really good, and they had deep V's in them. Yeah, I loved that period. That was good, man.
And you're still making surfboards
Yeah,
today,
still
Colin?
make surfboards,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I built I was in the fish room out there, and then I got kicked out. I had a shaping room out there, and my wife was smoking the fish outside, but the weather was creating such variables with the smoked fish, she could never get the temperature just right, so I got booted out of there, and we put the smoke houses in the shaping room, this big, sort of like 12 foot by 12 foot square room. And so we ended up building a surfboard factory.
Yeah.
Built a shaping room, and then I added a glassing room onto it, and
Good on you.
yeah, it's good, man. I love getting out there.
When you were started surfing, did you have any surf heroes? Anyone that you looked up to? Have any idols?
Oh, I tell you what, I've got some really interesting videos here of like, oh God, what's that guy's name? He was an American champ for a long time. I can see his face right now. There was Midget Farrelly, and
Yeah.
the guy Wheels Williams, and Bobby Brown was an incredible hero of mine because of the way he surfed. He was so smooth and stylish.
Those are the guys that were all in the magazines,
Yeah,
and there was
yeah.
only really American
but-
and a few Aussie mags. We
Yeah.
had nothing, did we?
Yeah, no, and there was like a few of the Americans. They were really hot. David Nuahiwa, and
Some of the Hawaiians.
yeah, a lot of the Hawaiians when you got the magazines, but a lot of the guys like Nat Young and Bob McTavish was a huge influence on me and Nat Young and their surfboard design because they were so unique.
Just different. Yeah.
Well, they made boards for our sort of waves,
They made them for the conditions where you could buy a Dunlop and they were all the same, weren't they? And
they were just pop outs, and you took your chances, mate. And then once I got into a taste of custom made surfboards, because I started buying surfboards off Chris Fraserhurst, Roger Lands.
Yes, he was bringing them up from Hamilton.
Yeah, when I joined Tarahi. And Chris was he was really fast for a buck. He was a good salesman. I'm sure he would have ended up running one of those banks for that bank company he worked for, mate.
He was selling those, he was making £5 a surfboard, and when I interviewed him, £5 was a good week's wages in those days.
Hey, that was a lot of money,
So
mate?
he'd bring back 6 every weekend, or most weekends, and so he was, that good business, eh?
Oh, mate, well, I learned from him, and I ended up getting a Dell surfboard. Somehow Nigel Dwyer got hold of me.
Yeah.
And he said, will you be an agent in Whangarei? And I was selling heaps, man. I sold 80 one year.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
a
went,
lot of boards.
and I left him, and I went to, I can't remember who I went and sold boards for, but he threatened to come up and give me hiding.
When you left him, yeah.
Because obviously I didn't realise how much he depended on all his agents to bring in his.
So
his
where were you
orders.
selling those out of? Just from your house?
Just from down Manu Road. I had a little flat down there.
And everyone knew about it?
I had Brian King and Trevor King and heaps of people, and they were making really progressive surfboards.
Yeah.
You know, they were beyond the Dunlop models. They were really customised, and Robbie Walsh and Tommy Waite and who's that guy? Doug. He was a hot, goofy fella. I can't think of his surname right now. I'm a bit tired, so my brain's gone. But hey, mate, they had really good surfers, designing those boards.
So when you were a young fella, did you have a car? How did you get around to these beaches? Well, what was your first car?
Hey, mate.
What was your first car?
A Volkswagen after Dickie Robinson.
A Volkswagen?
Yeah, it was a heap of rubbish too.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, well, it kept burning valves and that. The motor was a bit old, so it would overheat. But yeah, Dickie Robinson, he was the man, mate. He looked after me. He took me under his wing, and he was really good to me.
Yeah.
I mean, but like for
just take your
£5 you could borrow the car for the evening and take your girlfriend home. Everything had a price with Dickie. But you know, it was good. He'd hire that vehicle out to you every night when he didn't want it.
So he was probably 2 or 3 years old.
He would have been. Yeah, he was quite a bit older than me.
Yeah.
He would have just coming out of his apprenticeship. He'd have been 3-4 years older.
Yeah. Any surf accidents? You ever did any?
One day I copied Tony Kibble. I saw him standing up, paddling back out in about a 5-foot day at Sandy Bay.
Yeah.
And I thought, gee, I'll try that. And I mistimed it, and as I stood up, the lip was coming over and broke my 2 front teeth. And I could never replace them. I had a lot of trouble with those teeth.
So you're paddling out when the wave came.
I stood up,
yeah,
and the board's going up, but I misjudged it. I did it too late, and the curls coming over. I thought, I'm never copying Kibble again.
Thanks, Tony Kibble, was it?
Yeah, I would have been laughing if he knew the story.
I know you've had lots of surfing days, but does a day stand out when you've gone surfing at like we Party or whatever, and the surf's just been fantastic?
Hey mate, one day I was meant to go to a friend's wedding, Chris Baker. You remember Chris? He worked at the Advocate.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Dear friend, the waves were just incredible.
So you did.
Hartau was about 4 to 5 foot and just like a right hand point break.
Just peeling.
It was just one of the, I'll never forget that day.
Yeah. That
was just one day when time stopped, and it's in my mind forever. And I didn't make the wedding, mate.
That's a true surfer.
Hey,
did you have to explain to him why you never?
Oh yeah, but he was such a loose goose. He sort of understood. He was a bit pissed off. Obviously, you would be. But the surf was that good. And I remember Trevor King. He was going. He went.
Yeah.
And I thought, how can you do that?
A favourite trip, New Zealand trip? I know you've done a lot of tripping around. You went for a few championships and things like that.
Oh, mate, Gisborne. Going to Gisborne and Mahia.
Yeah.
I had an old Vauxhall,
Is that the 6-cylinder?
Yeah, one of those old long
round
ones. The long ones and round.
Yeah.
Not a PB.
Yeah.
Or a PA. It was before that.
Yeah.
Must have been about a 62 or something like that. 65.
Were they 6-cylinder or 4-cylinder?
That was a 6-cylinder.
Yeah.
And to keep it in gear, I had a bicycle inner tube tied to the steering column, and you'd get it into top gear, and then you put that bit of bicycle tube over to hold it in gear, or it'd jump out.
Yeah. So you went all the way down.
I go to Gisborne and that all the time. I lived down there for 6 months.
Yeah.
With
so you
some
surfed
friends.
Mahia.
Go and surf Mahi with my mates. Go and surf the north side. We surfed the north side a lot. Never surfed the south side.
Yeah.
Always surfed like the reefs there and stuff.
Yeah.
And no crowds. Lived at Gisborne and just surfed like the island, and the locals were just so incredibly friendly, mate. It was, I thought Whangarei locals were friendly, but you went down there and it was twice as friendly.
You were probably showing them how to surf, and that you would have been in those days.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of doors open me because of my surfing ability, but they were just really neat people anyway. You know what I mean? They were just really friendly. They were cut off from the rest of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And when people turned up, Aussie travellers and surfers.
It's a long way to get there, isn't it?
Yeah, and they were just really friendly people, mate.
Yeah.
But good waves, the island and
those
left-handers at the island, mate.
Mate. Did you surf overseas at all? You went to Aussie?
Went
for
to
a while?
Aussie a couple of times.
Yeah.
Surfed on the Gold Coast a lot. Lived at my best surf would have been most enjoyable surf was at Currumbin.
Yeah.
But surfed a lot of Curra and Burley, but there was always a lot of people.
So did you go over by yourself, or did you go with a
First time I went with Ken Berry and Eric Harrison.
Yep.
And I remember, man, we were on this Greyhound bus driving into Coolangatta, going around Curra Point. It's 6 foot, and Richard Harvey's dropping down because he had this unique backhand style, dropping down and getting barreled on this 6 foot wave. We go around in this bus to Coolangatta.
So you got off there, I take it.
Oh yeah, we got off there and that one. I'll never forget that. That was just unbelievable.
So you saw that on the bus? And
on the bus, mate, the guys just getting barreled to going around the corner. I mean, it's just something you never forget. It's like this surf movie happening live, and you're on this vehicle going by. And you just can't believe it. There's all these hot rats just absolutely ripping. And that's when the sewer pipe went out by the. That's where the original point was, and you'd paddle out off that sewer pipe. Jump in,
Yeah.
Amazing, mate.
Yeah. Favourite surf beach?
Oh, it'd have to be Pardale Bar around here.
Yeah.
Or Peaks.
Yeah.
Peaks and Wonga. Wonga when it's about 6 to 8 foot plus.
Yeah.
Maxing out, because Wonga's like this really big, powerful wave, but it's a really friendly wave. It has a different sort of power, the way it breaks. Very forgiving.
You would have rode Horror Bar too?
Oh, Horror, another favourite, man.
It's a
when
beautiful
that double
little
jack
ride.
up,
Yeah.
and you'd take off, you'd angle in, and it'd be so hollow as you're going
It's
down. You're
shallow
getting
there too.
tubed.
Yeah.
So you learned to angle in, so you didn't can out.
This one.
Oh, yeah, Horror, definitely one of the favourites. And Wananaki.
Yeah. I think we're lucky here, We've got so many choices.
Oh, there's so many people overseas, man. You talk, like, I've made friends with this little Japanese girl, and she was telling Colin Cook, she'll come over, she goes back to Japan and works for a while. She's back over there now, and she'll come back and surf here. And in the winter, I went over to Ocean Beach one day, and it's about that high. And there's this little chick out there on her own, man.
Yeah.
On her own.
Yeah.
And she can't believe New Zealand, because she says everyone at Ocean Beach is friendly to her and shares waves with her. Like, we're out there surfing one day, and it's about 5 or 6 foot, and she's sort of over there a little bit out of the peak. And I said, come over here where we are. This is where the action is, right in the air. She comes over and paddles with it. She's telling my friend, in Japan, guys won't even give her a wave. They just run her over.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to see a girl out there surfing, and you do give them, I do, you give them a bit of room. Well, you have this one. And
Oh, mate, I call them onto waves, because like most of the guys don't want them.
Yeah.
And they're in the headspace I was in when I was younger. But now I'm older, I appreciate that everyone gets the same buzz, whether you're a grandma or a young kid or you're net young.
Yeah.
It's the same buzz. So I call the girls, go on, paddle, go for it. Come over here where I am, right in the middle of it, because a lot of them don't know where to sit, and they'll be off the peak, and you'll see them getting canned by the wave, and I'm thinking, come over here a little bit and get it early, and you're sweet,
We should have a lot more girls surfing, but I think a lot of them actually choose the wrong board. They don't have enough volume.
Oh, mate, I've been growling at my friends. Like, there's a young girl, she's a doctor up at the locum up at the hospital, Maria, and I met her over at Colin Cook's a few weeks back, and I said, hey, we were talking about surfing, and I turned up and I was playing my favourite Rolling Stones music, and that she just loves music, and so we had this connection, and then talking about surfing, and I said to her, she says, I want to get another board. So I said, hey, look, I've got this really neat board. There's a friend of mine, he is called Smiley. And I said, I'll sell them to you. So she's gone to Canada and she's given me $300 deposit for Smiley. Because you'll see the girls, my friend Rupert Newbold, his wife Wendy rides this 8'4", she can hardly catch waves. I said to Rupert, shell out some money, man, and get your wife a decent surfboard. She can't catch waves and she can surf really good. And you'll see the other girls, their boards are a little bit out to lunch, but I'm hoping this year we're going to start getting a lot of those girls on decent longer boards that they can float on.
There's definitely more and more girls learning to surf with all the surf schools and things like that.
It's happening now, it's come of age.
Yeah. It's good to see, I like to see.
Yeah, well I said to Maria, when you buy my board I'll give you 50 free surfing lessons, because if you go with someone who can surf, you come up real quick.
Yep. Yeah,
your level will just come up because they're talking stuff into your head and saying, come and paddle over here, here's the peak, line up that tree, or come on, do this. And I've got these guys all doing press-ups now, mate, these older guys that couldn't catch waves. You've got to start doing 10, do 20, get up to 30, and then you've got the stamina, and now they've all got the stamina. I'm probably creating competition for myself, but it's just so much fun to see everyone enjoying surfing at a more intense level,
Yeah.
where I have a very intense relationship with a wave, and the more intense your relationship is and the deeper you surf it, the more of a buzz you get back when you ride that wave and you accomplish whatever it is you're trying to do on the wave.
You kill that wave and you feel good about
And
it.
yeah, and you come back and it's like you've had this drug, but the drug was a wave, the energy of the wave, and it's really healthy for you.
Yeah, that's excellent.
You know, the passion.
So what sort of music were you listening to when you first started? Was it just
mate, there's a song called Sloopy, Hang On Sloopy. Do you remember that song?
Yes, I do.
I called my first surfboard Sloopy.
Yeah.
And that's when I started naming my surfboards. I was about a couple of months back, I was just thinking, man, that was a really neat, passionate period of my life. Because it wasn't about being the best, and it wasn't about, because I went through a period where I just had to be the best and had to prove it to people, because you get so much shit thrown at you. Mm-hmm. And so I'd go out of my way to just go as hard as I could. I had something to prove. But now I just want to help people surf and get them on a more intimate level with waves and the beauty of it all and what it's all about, the nature of it all and where it comes from and who makes it. Mm-hmm. So naming surfboards is a little bit of giving things a personality, a boarded personality, you know, because you can
probably feel a bit more attached to it. It's not just a piece of fiberglass and foam, is
it? Yeah, it's like a girlfriend or your best mate.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a name, because when the waves are 6 foot and grinding, that board's getting you in and out and putting you into all neat sorts of head spaces. And
so did you go to these New Zealand champs and things like that, or did you? I know you went to a lot of Northland champs.
We went to a lot. I joined North Coast Surfboard Riders.
Yeah. And
I won a few surfing contests around here, and we had quite a strong club membership, and we were all competitive like Tatahi once again at North Coast. Yeah. And in order to go to those nationals, you had to belong to a club. Yeah. And I remember we'd go down to Gisborne and we'd have like second, thirds and fourths, and there was Richard Langdon and me and Chris Hislop, Clive Smart, Viv Tracy, Titch Williams, and we were all peaking, we were all competing with each other. You know,
you probably made each other better
mate, because we weren't going to get outdone by, I wasn't going to let Viv beat me, or Clive, and so we'd all push ourselves. Yeah. And I remember Clive and I went to Christchurch, and he came first. He beat me by half a point, and I came second.
That's half a point is nothing, isn't it?
Oh, well, the reason why it happened, mate, was because when I was into my competitive mode, I wouldn't talk to you. I would just go off on my own. Yeah. Because guys would try and get into your head and psych you out. So I would just go off on my own, and because I wouldn't be friendly with all those local judges, because I'd gone there to win it. Yeah. And that was in my mind.
Favouritism coming, did it?
Oh no, I got nailed by them. They gave me this guy said to me, the local guy from Longer, he said, they gave you the deep freeze because you wouldn't go and mix with them. But I said, it's a surfing contest. I was taking that stuff really seriously, because I was wanting to make a career out of surfing and making surfboards, and I blew it. I should have been friendly to them, but it was just the nature. If you want to win, like we had a surfing club contest, North Coast, with the Mount. And Kevin Jarrett, they had like Kevin Jarrett, who was one of the best surfers in New Zealand, all these top guys, so competitive. And they just thought they were so bloody hot, and we were rubbish. So I went over with Tim Walsh up in the sand dunes, and we just kept away from the contest, and I'd gone through all the heats. And I said to Walsh, I'm going to win this. I can beat these guys. I can beat Ernie. Yeah. That was Kevin Jarrett's nickname. And because I knew that bar, and the bar was just smoking, sucking out, tubing perfectly, and so I just went off on my own and just did my little meditation thing, and smoking a few joints, and I thought, right, I'm going to have you, Ernie, and I just blocked him out of my head. Yeah, I thought, right, I'm not surfing against you, Ernie. I'm just going out to surf these waves the best I can, the loosest I can, and the hardest I can. And I beat him, and we went up the beach after the final. And he knew I'd beaten him, and he got the beat. He threw his board down on the sand. He was pissed off.
He didn't like it?
Oh, we hated being beaten, because he was so competitive, and he was so good, and he'd been in all the magazines. Yeah. And I thought, no, I got something to prove here, because you guys are all taking the piss out of us. You think you're better than us. Yeah.
Probably makes you try harder.
Oh, it does, man. It's good for you to get sand in your face.
Oh, you were talking about how you get ready before a contest. Everyone's different in that too. That like you get 3 people and they all do different things before a contest. Some don't want to talk, some talk, some just sit there and don't say anything. But that's how you prepare for a contest.
That's it. Yeah, like we were at it. There was a Roger Crisp had a surf shops in town, and he held a surfing contest, and there was guys from all over New Zealand. It was held over at Proctor's, sort of at Ocean Beach, but Proctor's had really good banks. It was over there, and there was me and Dave Scullen and Tony, my wife. We had a beach umbrella, and I'd got through the heats, and I was in the semi-final and in the final, and I just wouldn't have anything to do with anyone, because everyone was trying to get in each other's heads and do little games, and I went out and won. But it was all about that, getting off in your own space, getting focused about your surfing and what you wanted to do, and then I'd be singing my favourite songs, because it was like dancing, you know, just doing the flow, and I'm imagining doing the bottom turn, I'm going to do a Rio under the lip, and I'm going to snap it, you know, to get the whole jive going. And so I'd go off on my own all the time, and that was the way I could do it and stop people, because otherwise, when I first learned about it when I went to Nationals, and you'd get like Taff Kennings, Dave Leach and all these Auckland guys, and man, they'd all come in and pick on me because I had a reputation for being good, and they'd all sort of block me, and that's when I learned you had to go off on your own, you had to keep away from them, because what they wanted to do was try and nobble you before the contest,
get into your skull.
And get into your skull and try and psych you out somehow, or just do, you know, lay weird shit on you.
It's weird though, like if you go free surfing, you probably surf better free surfing than what you do in a contest, but
I got it to where you could do them the same. Because I would just cut loose. I didn't care. I would just go out there and surf as hard as I could, as if it was a free surfing period, because that's when you're free surfing, that's when you surf at your best. So that's why I'd go up on my own. So when I went in a contest, I was still free surfing in my head.
That's a good thing to do.
You know, and that was so you could attain, so you could have that edge over the other guys, because a lot of guys would be nervous. Like guys would say to me, "You've just beaten me walking down the beach," because I wouldn't talk to them. At the moment that coloured T-shirt went on, or it was a contest,
that was it.
That was it. I just went into another part of my psyche, and I don't want to be your friend right now. We got to, you know, there's a line here.
But you'd have a beer with them after.
Oh yeah, have a whiskey and get pissed and have a dance and a giggle. But when it was on, it was business. It was serious. I had something to prove.
You see that a lot though. I've seen brilliant surfers and they've never been in a contest. And you put them in a contest, they are lost. They'll see someone get a couple of good waves, and then they'll start taking waves they shouldn't be taking, and they panic, and you see that a lot. But
I went to the Aussie guys to learn how to do the contest thing. I went to Michael Peterson and Nat Young, and Michael Peterson would just keep to himself. And I thought, if you're going to copy anyone, and this guy was such a hero to me, there was no one surfed like Michael Peterson. He was just the most cleverest, gifted guy. I thought, well, if you're a golfer, you go to the best golfer. And I thought, you know, this guy is the best. His boards are the best, everything he does is superior. I'm going to check this guy out and copy him. And so I learned he'd go off on his own. And I thought, oh yeah, that's what he's doing. He's psyching himself up. He's reinforcing himself and protecting himself from the other guys. So when he surfs against them, it's a warrior thing. It's like battle. You're doing battle.
You're right. When was the last time you were in the water?
Surfing a week ago. At Ocean Beach. It would have been a good 6 foot plus down in that south end corner.
Oh yeah, was that during the week or something?
Yeah, during the week. There was some really good swells down there. And then we'd had a week before that, and so another big north swell.
Brass me off, because it's always good during the weekend, not very often during the weekend.
We've had so much surf. I can't believe it this year. Like normally I go into Ocean Beach and do a lot of carwai fishing and on the beach, but it's got to be like that high. We used to go and fish in the surf, but my deckhand's got a attention deficit problem, mate. I was always freaking out that we'd catch the prop in the net. So we haven't been around there. I think we went around once this year. That's how much surf we've had.
That's brilliant.
Well, it's not so brilliant. I've got a ton and a quarter of carwai quota I want to catch, and my quota year ends on the last night of September, which is like 8 or 10 days away.
So you're a busy man. Children, how many kids you got?
I've got a daughter, Amy, who would be 35, and she's got 3 kids.
So you're a granddad?
Yeah, I'm a granddad, man. I've got 2 really good hard case young boys and a granddaughter, 2 grandsons, and they're full on cricket, rugby.
Any into surfing? They've got to be.
Yeah, I've made one of them a little surfboard. He's got a little quad.
Yeah.
And that's Kale, and Quinn's going to get a surfboard this this summer. Yeah, they go to the beach with Tony and.
I can see you out surfing with your grandkids.
Oh yeah, mate, it's a buzz, man, you know, and they're right into sport, hardcore.
Yeah.
And my granddaughter, you know, I'm going to give them all a surfboard, mate. I've got a few out there.
Yeah.
Little boards and stuff, and this year they're ready to go because they've been into they're heavily into cricket, like they want to be top sports people, and they're quite gifted.
So they've got the drive, eh? Yeah.
And they've got the gift. They've got they're pretty gifted kids.
And we know where they got it from, of course, don't we, Colin?
Well, from their mum mum's an incredibly.
You, come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but their mum and me.
Yeah.
And like Amy's heavily into netball, and now she's one. There's only 2 netball coaches in New Zealand that've got her highest qualifications.
Yeah.
So she's into that, and Dad's heavily into sport and cricket, Richard.
Yeah.
So yeah, between all of us,
we've
had a huge effect on these kids, and they're really competitive.
Great to have grandkids and watch them growing up.
Oh,
it's a highlight of my life,
mate.
and I'm sure it is for yours. Yeah.
Hey, I rang up my grandson Quinn the other day. Kale rather. Kale had got most outstanding and kindest person award. He got a cup for it, and he'd slept with it that night.
So proud.
Yeah, like he's 10.
Yeah.
So I rang him, hey Kale, cool man, good on you, doing well. And then he's also into St. John's.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Hey mate, he's only 10 and he goes around there once a week and does a 1-hour course.
Yeah, good on him.
And I was just telling him how, I said, before you were born, the Bible says God knew you, Kale.
Yeah.
And he put these gifts in your mind and in your heart. And I said, you can do whatever you want, whatever you dream of, you can make it a reality.
Yeah.
Because God says, if you love me with all your heart, I will give you the desires of your heart, and you can do whatever you want because I've gifted it to you. And little Kale's just all ears, mate, soaking this up. And if you start washing their minds with that good stuff at a young age, it stays with them. Like they go to church and they believe in Jesus Christ, they have a relationship with him, and they're really lucky. And so it's nice to sow seeds in there, because these kids are going to be overachievers.
Yeah.
Like Quinn, he's already, I think he's 14, mate, and he's way ahead of all the kids in his class.
Yeah.
So it's good to be encouraging to bring the best out,
so
they don't have to go down to drug alley and. They don't have to be alcoholics and on the wrong side of the rails,
There's so many kids out there that don't have any support, and that's
hey
why
mate, I go and hunt down all the ones that are on their own, the ones that are the loser-like type looking ones, or the ones that can't surf, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And encourage them because they got no one to encourage them.
Well, before we wind up my interview, I was talking to your brother other day, and
Eddie.
Did you borrow your parents' car and go surfing and just about wreck it, or was that him? Did you?
Oh no, I wrecked the old man's car.
Yeah.
Dad was
What happened? Tell me about that.
Dad was teaching me to drive, and we were on metal roads, and it was the first time I'd driven a car, mate.
Yeah.
Station wagon. That's right. The old man covered for me, and we're turning past Ersig's corner.
So you weren't going on a surf trip or anything? You were just learning to drive.
I was just learning to drive it,
Yeah.
and the county council Land Rover came around the corner, and I just lost it in the gravel because I didn't know how. I pulled over for him, and I didn't know anything about steering the wheel to control gravel slide.
Yeah.
I just went straight into him, wiped the side out of the Land Rover. Just about wrote the car off.
So did he know you were driving the car, or?
Oh yeah, but he was a friend of Dad, so they covered for me.
Yeah.
And Dad went home to Mum and said he was driving the car.
Good
the
old
lady.
Dad.
The old lady went ballistic.
Yeah.
But that's what happened there, mate. But I mean, there could have been an accident going surfing. I mean, there's parts of my life I can't remember because I had so many drugs, mate.
Yeah.
Heaps of acid and heroin and all sorts of stuff, So I spend my time telling kids not to get into drugs. Like I've got a really neat friend who surfs, Colin Lowe, and he's got this lovely, maybe 12, his son 13, Dylan. And I share my testimony with him about where I was and how good I was at surfing, and I got caught up in drugs and crap and got sidetracked. So I try and find anyone I can find, mate, and tell them about Christ, but then tell them about, the ability you've got. You don't need all that crap to bring it out. Like Josh's mates had come out, I'd be making boards for them and I'd be witnessing to them about Christ. It was perfect. So you could use your surfboard making ability or your surfboards to tell people about Christ, you know, because I mean, most people don't want to hear about him in this age. And the Bible says, you know, the road is narrow and the way is hard and few there be that find it. And, you know, so if I can get one person into the kingdom of God, well, hey, your life's valuable then. You've done something good, you know.
You've done a lot of good things.
Because you come across so many, you know, like I've got so many friends who are screwing up, mate. So many friends who are into P now and they don't realise where they're going to end up. Like younger guys, like this guy came out to me about 4 months ago, wanted to buy a surfboard with me. Robert Pittman bought him out, another dear friend of mine. And I sold him a board. And then he started relating back stories at Part Out Bar and he yelling out, "Oi!" And all the boys had pulled back because I wanted to wave.
Yeah.
And he had a motorbike accident, but he's been getting into P.
Yeah.
And he's already got brain damage.
Yeah.
And I rang his mum up the other day, and she's a Christian lady, and I was telling her about Western Carrier, and I said, well, look, I'll try and get your son to come along to a Western Carrier meeting. She said, oh, he probably won't come. I said, well, if I start putting some prayer into him now, because I told him about Christ, and his mind was really open. I said, you never know, Christ might set him free and heal him, man. He might give him a miracle. And Mum was really hooting, because she said his mood swings now are colossal because he's getting into that P. Yeah. And a friend of mine was telling Robert Pittman, he says, the P's so strong, he says, one night of P and it takes 7 days to recover.
That's...
Eh? And it's so addictive.
You lose a week, don't you?
Yeah, you lose a week of your life, mate.
Yeah, and you'll never get that week back either.
No, so I try and spend as much time as I can, mate, just witnessing to Christ, because he's done so much for me. He's turned my life right around.
Yep.
Like I used to go to this lady in Auckland at the LSE race course. I read about her, and she had bowel cancer.
Yeah.
And Christ healed her. Yeah. Through these two Christian ministers went to the hospital and prayed for her in her bed. She already had the X-rays to prove she had a bowel cancer. She was shitting blood. She was in a bad way. Christ healed her and gave her this miracle healing ministry. Yeah. And once every fortnight she'd meet at the LSE racecourse, non-denominational, and the Holy Spirit would be touching people. There'd be people slain all over the floor. Yeah. Her ministry was so powerful, the surgeons at Auckland Hospital would send their patients that they couldn't cure to her.
Yeah, to just see
and
if
God
they could help.
would deal with them, and she'd pray for them. And I mean, she said to me one day, "Oh, do you want to join our team?" Because I'd turn up, you know, once a fortnight. I'd drive down there, man, because it was amazing just to see to see the power of God. Like, it's one thing to read about it and hear about it. When you see the Holy Spirit touching people, and she had a word of knowledge, and like one day there's about 200 people in this building at the LSE racecourse, and she says, "There's a lady down the back of the church. You think God doesn't know you exist, and you've got a serious cancer problem right now. The Holy Spirit's telling me, if you come up the front, God wants to heal you right now." And everyone's waiting and waiting, and this little old lady trudges up the front, man. Yeah. You know, just mind-blowing stuff that you read about in the gospel, you know, and in Luke and that. And then, but when you actually see it happening, you go, "Hey, this is real. This isn't bullshit." Yeah. You know, this is the Holy Spirit really doing His thing, and people being set free. You know. Yeah. Yeah, that had a huge effect on me, mate.
Good on you.
Yeah. I've never been the same again.
All right, I'll end the interview there, but look, I really appreciate your time. That's been unbelievable.